I know we'll talk a little bit about this later, but I'm very curious to know what were some of the early examples of olfactory play in games or in media? So do you want to explain a few?
Absolutely. So again, since working in the area was I was looking at which was smell games, there weren't a lot of like sort of canonical examples of smell games. So I basically really had to cast a broad net, and that was my entire research sort of approach. And so not just looking within the really specific realm of game studies and game history related to smell, but also looking at cultural history and going back to the Romans. When I was looking at cultural history, I was also looking at some of the classic texts on these, like by the sensory ethnographers from Concordia University and people who are really curious about smell as a cultural phenomenon. And so one of the things that came up that really grabbed my attention was the notion of the rose water filled egg. So it's basically a kind of a playful form or early smell toy it's described in texts that are about how to create a really good banquet from the Renaissance. And so basically what you do is it's like a water balloon full of rose water. So you blow out an egg, you replace the egg with rose water, you seal it, and then when you have a nice banquet, you have some sitting along by your place setting, and once you've had a few drinks, you start throwing them at one another. And so I started by just recreating this. It's very simple to do it. I do it all the time in workshops now. We recreate this. You take this rose water filled egg and you use it as a toy, and you have people sort of interrogate what are its toy like qualities, what does it feel like, and what kind of play does it afford. So I was looking at really, I'd like to sort of look back at some of those examples. I found them to be really provocative and interesting, and there's not a lot to find. And so and there's probably more that I haven't found, but I really wanted to sort of, like I said, cast a broad net to think about scent in games in a broader way, not just at looking at game forms, but also play, toys, cultural forms related to that.
Engaging with the olfactory, it can always be a bit playful. So I love this example you give of people just throwing these rose eggs at each other. But it's also one of the, I think, faults of scent is that it's given this kind of impulsive and playful background, which people then underestimate its power and its quality. So it's a great example of these two things coming together, kind of like impulse and play, but also this is an example from the past and you're still using it as engagement with your students. So that's really amazing.
It's fun.